All right, welcome back, everybody. It is currently 9:11 p.m. Thursday, October 6th. Quick shout out to my brother. It is his birthday. He is now 26 years old. So he made fun of me for getting older last month when I turned 30. Well, guess what, pal? You are now closer to 30 than you were at 20, so suck it. So I promised y'all I would come back for multiple episodes this week. I I tried to get 3 episodes in. I had it all lined up with my pal Steven. We were going to talk baseball. Had him on the podcast. Like, we were literally recording. We were about 30, 40 minutes in, and then my laptop just decided to shut down and froze, and it just technical difficulties. So it was late. I told Steven, I was like, look, it's already 11 o'clock. I'm not doing this over again. And he understood. I'm going to try to make it up to him, though. I have his picks for baseball because we will be talking about the baseball postseason. Unlike some other podcasts, we will be giving some love to baseball. I have his picks. I'm going to try to get him on next week to make it up to him, or at some point this postseason, maybe for the World Series or something, to preview it. But I'm going to try to get him on to make it up to him. But, so, speaking of baseball, let's go ahead and get started. So, one thing with this baseball postseason. One, it's expanding. It was originally 10 teams. It's now 12. That is something that was incorporated in this recent negotiations with the new CBA, going from 10 to 12 teams, along with other things. But that was one thing that stuck out to me. So instead of getting 2 one-game playoffs, one AL one-game playoff, one NL one-game playoff, for the wild card round, we're instead getting 4 3-game series, best 2 out of 3, and then the winners go on to face the top 2 teams in each league. So a little bit different, but I actually kind of like the structure. I will say I'm not a fan of one of the division winners getting left out. It's just I like symmetry, and so there are 3 divisions in. 3 divisions in baseball. I'm blanking here. I blanked there for a minute. You got the East, the Central, and the West for both the AL and the NL. And I don't like that one of those is missing out on a bye. It's not really a bye. You just get the weekend off, basically. But I don't know. Like I said, I like symmetry, and it just throws me off. I'm like, oh, that's right. The third best, the division winner with the worst record has to play on wildcard weekend. So it's a little strange. But yeah, 3 wildcard teams. So let's go ahead and get started in the AL, where it will be Seattle, who's the number 5 seed, against Toronto, who's the number 4. Hats off to Seattle. This is the first time they've made the playoffs since 2001, I believe, when they won, I think, 116 games. Hang on. I got a sneeze coming. I'm dead serious. My allergies are acting up. Well, shit. Hang on. It's coming. Gosh. All right. Sorry about that. So we got Seattle and Toronto, the top 2 of the 3 wild cards. This is probably going to be the most entertaining wild card series, or series in the wild card round. I don't see a scenario, unless something fluky happens. I think this is going to go the full 3 games. I think this is going to wrap up Sunday. I don't know if it's Sunday night, Sunday during the day. I don't know. I want to pick Seattle. Well, first off, I like both of these teams. Once the Reds started sucking, and the Mets were always pretty good, but I kind of latched onto the Mariners a little bit. Just a team that never makes the playoffs, and since the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, I've kind of gravitated to the Mariners as like the lovable losers. But I'm tempted to pick the Mariners. I like their pitching. Luis Castillo is one of the best pitchers in the game. I believe Robbie Ray's healthy. They have a good bullpen. Like, this team has the pitching to make a run. The problem is their offense has kind of struggled. Other than Julio Rodriguez, they're not getting much production. So I'm going to go with Toronto. Series is in Toronto. And that's the other thing with these wild card series is it's 3 straight games in a city. They don't play a game in Toronto and then play the other game in Seattle, or game 2 in Seattle and then play game 3 if necessary in Toronto. It's all 3 games, at least 2, but potentially all 3 in the same city. So with all 3 in Toronto, I'm going to go with the Blue Jays. They have the star power in their lineup, with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Yordes, what is his name? I voted for him to be an all-star. Let me look it up. I can never remember his name. Wait for it. Where is he here? There he is. Lourdes Huriel. Lourdes Huriel. Alejandro Kirk, and then I noticed some other guys on that list. Matt Chapman, Whit Merrifield's pretty good. So they just have a loaded roster. Mariners have good pitching, but I think that Blue Jays roster is too deep. George Springer, another good player in that lineup. I just think over the course of a series, the Blue Jays, even if the Mariners can win game 1 with Castillo on the mound, although the Blue Jays will likely be pitching Alek Manoah, out of West Virginia West Virginia baseball, sorry. I think the Blue Jays lineup is good enough for the team to rally in games 2 and 3. So I got the Blue Jays there. The other matchup is Cleveland. Tampa Bay against Cleveland. I have a lot of respect for Tampa Bay. I'm tempted to pick the Rays because of that. I'm not going to do it, though, because the Rays have kind of hobbled to the postseason. They have a record of, I think I wrote 8-18 since September 9th on my blog. So they're really hobbling. Offensively, they're not that good. I think they're last or second to last among playoff teams in a lot of offensive categories. So typical Rays, great pitching. Brian Cash is it Brian Cash? I know Cash is his last name, but I can never remember his first name. Let me look that up real quick. Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Cash. I get it confused with Brian Cashman, GM of the Yankees. They have the pitching, they have the manager. I don't think their offense is there this year. So I'm going to go with Cleveland. The series is in Cleveland. Terry Francona is a good manager. We know the Guardians have pitching. Shane Bieber is obviously a stud. Zach Plezak's pretty good. They have some other guys in their rotation. Looking it up again. Hang on. I want to name all of them because Plezak's the 4th guy in their rotation. Where's the roster? Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill, and then Plezak. So they have arms. They have a good bullpen. But one thing with this Cleveland team, unlike previous Cleveland teams, is that they can actually hit the ball. Ahmed Rosario had a good year. Jose Ramirez had a good year. Josh Naylor had a pretty good year. Who else am I missing? Is it Andres? Andre Jimenez had a good year. There was one other player. Was it Stephen Kwan, I think, had a good year. So unlike previous Cleveland teams, this team can actually hit the ball. So I feel pretty good about Cleveland being able to move on. Switching over to the NL, San Diego against the New York Mets, hence my Mets shirt. I don't like the way the Mets have been playing. They lost, I think, 6 of their last 12 games. Their offense was inconsistent during that stretch. They blew a 10.5 game lead in the NL East. The Mets aren't in a good spot, but I'm still going to pick them to win this series. Not super confident in it, though. They have the best 1-2 punch in the starting rotation with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. All you need is 2 in this round. And you're telling me they get deGrom and Scherzer, who might go out there and go 7 shutout innings. And while the Mets lineup has been inconsistent, it's been able to score runs this year at times. I'm going to lean with the series in New York. I'm going to lean with the Mets here. Again, not super confident in that pick. The other matchup, Philly against St. Louis. I think this is a terrible matchup for Philadelphia. The Phillies can hit the ball. I have questions about their pitching outside of Aaron Nola. Their bullpen is not very good. I think it's the worst. It's one of the worst in baseball. In the month of September, I think its ERA was like over 5. Really hard to win in the postseason if you got a bad bullpen. The last team that I remember doing that was Washington. Granted, Washington won the World Series in 2019, but their bullpen was terrible in the regular season. So it can happen. I don't see it happening in this matchup. St. Louis, is the better organization. They have better pitching. I would argue a better lineup. They have the maybe NL MVP in Paul Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado. So I got to go with the Cardinals. Plus they're red hot. I think they've won like 42 of their last 64 games or something like that. So I hate to do this because James is a big Phillies fan, but I'm going to roll with the Cardinals here. Feels like a very favorable matchup for the Cardinals. Let me pull up Steven's picks. I remembered that halfway through. Steven went with the same exact picks as me. He took Toronto and Cleveland in the AL, and he took the Mets and Cardinals in the NL. All right, so moving on to the divisional round, back to the AL, we got Toronto. Oh, another thing with this postseason, although it doesn't really matter at this point because I picked chalk, it's not going to be like football or even hockey in the past. The hockey doesn't do this anymore, but especially football. The lower seeded team is not going to play the first seeded team. So, like, if the Rays, who are the 6th seed in the AL, win the series against Cleveland, they don't play Houston, who's the number 1 overall seed. They stay in their side of the bracket and play the Yankees. So keep that in mind. But Toronto, I got Toronto and Houston in this matchup. I don't feel great about the Blue Jays making a really deep run. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure Robbie Ray still plays for the Blue Jays. I was just thinking about their pitching, and I said Robbie Ray played for the Seahawks with the Mariners. But now that I think about it, he might be with the Blue Jays. No, he is with the Mariners. Okay, good. Or I assume he's with the Mariners. He must have been with the Blue Jays last year. Yeah, he is with the Mariners. All right, so I'm not going crazy. Anyway, I have reservations about the Blue Jays pitching outside of Alek Manoah. Starting rotation's not great. Bullpen's not great. They're not terrible, but they're around middle of the pack. I just don't think that's going to get it done. The Astros have a really good, like Toronto, have a really good offense, a lot of star power. I know they cheated 5 years ago, but this team can hit. Jose Altuve, Jordan Alvarez, Alec Bregman didn't have a great year, but he's still really good. Kyle Tucker. This team can mash the ball. So this just feels like a very favorable matchup for the Astros, and I'm going to have them move on to the next round. Cleveland, New York, Yankees. I'm very tempted to pick Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland's hot. They've won also like St. Louis. They've won around 40 of their last 60 games. They can hit the ball. They have better pitching than the Yankees. If their offense gets humming, I think this could be trouble for the Yankees. And this is a upset brewing, I think. But I'm going to go with the Yankees. Again, I believe in star power. The Guardians feel like a team. Feels weird saying the Guardians out loud, but I prefer Cleveland. Cleveland feels like a team that was like, I don't know about a year early, but just kind of came out of nowhere. And now they have kind of a bona fide team, but they just don't feel like they're going to make a deep run to me. I think the record might be also a little inflated because they played the AL Central, which was maybe the worst. I don't know about the worst division in baseball, but toward the bottom. A lot of teams underperformed in that division. So I think the Guardians kind of benefited from that. So I'm going to go with the Yankees. They have more star power. Their offense can hit the ball. They have enough pitching to get to the ALCS, although I really do worry about them facing Cleveland's lineup because, again, I think Cleveland can go toe-to-toe with them in terms of offense. But I'm going to go with the Yankees. They got home field. They've been playing a whole lot better, especially in September. So I'm going to go with them to move on. In the NL, Dodgers-Mets. This is a horrible matchup for the Mets. Dodgers are really good. I will say, I worry. We see this all the time. I worry about the Dodgers and how they do they show up? Because they clinched the division almost a month ago. They clinched home field advantage a week ago. They've pretty much been on cruise control for the last month. Can they answer the bell in the playoffs? Sometimes it doesn't bother teams. Sometimes it does. We saw it with the Tampa Bay Lightning a couple years ago in the Stanley Cup playoffs. A team that won, 60-some games. I think they won 60 games, but had like the largest point total in 20 years or something, and got swept in the first round. So it happens, and that's why I brought it up. I'm a little worried that might happen with the Dodgers, but Dodgers are too talented. Mets have been too inconsistent the last few weeks. Having DeGrom and Scherzer on the mound is a huge benefit, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers. They're too talented, and they're just a better team. Atlanta and St. Louis, these might be the two hottest teams in baseball right now. I could go either way. I'm going to go with Atlanta, though. They have the better manager. Their lineup is like just the perfect combination of young and experienced, with a lot of playoff experience. They're the defending champs. I really like their pitching. Not that the Cardinals don't have good pitching. They do. But the Braves have better pitching. So home field, probably a series that's going to go 5 games. Give me the Braves to move on. And then I will go to Steven's picks. He has the Astros and Yankees in the AL. And, of course, he has the Dodgers and the Cardinals in the NL. I can't say I blame him. With the Cardinals, they're red hot right now, and they're always, one of the top teams in baseball. Can't really fault them there. But so we differ a little bit. Championship series in the AL, I got Houston and New York. I'm hard on New York. I realize that. I just don't think they're built for October. Pitching's too inconsistent. I mean, they gave Garrett Cole all that money, and what's he done in the postseason for them? Their lineup is really good when it wants to be. Aaron Boone is a good manager. Hasn't been able to get them over the hump. So I just don't have any trust in the Yankees or their pitching right now. So I'm gonna go with Houston. I don't know if that's me with the local bias here, living in Southeast Texas, Houston right down the road. But a lot of Astros fans here. But I'm going to go with the Astros. They're just too good. They have the better pitching, more consistent pitching. Justin Verlander's a stud. They have the best bullpen in baseball this season, or had the best bullpen in baseball this season. Really good lineup, home field. Hard to pick against that. In the NL, Dodgers, Braves, probably going to be a way more competitive series than people think. Like, don't go by win-loss record. Although the Braves did win over 100 games and the Dodgers won 111. So I wouldn't be so quick to rule out the Braves just going by win-loss record, because I think the Braves are really good. And they have the lineup to compete with the Dodgers. Braves are a really good team. They're just not as good as the Dodgers. And it feels like also that these teams are destined to meet in the NLCS for a third straight year. Dodgers won in 2020. Braves won last year. Feels like this is the Dodgers trying to get back at them. Again, Dodgers, I can go all day about the Dodgers. They're way too talented. So I will go with the Dodgers to make it to the World Series again, and we have a rematch. Well, hang on. Let me get to Steven's picks first before I get into that. World Series, he has Dodgers and Yankees. I was a little bit surprised at that, but he admitted that he didn't want to go chalk. So I have Dodgers, Astros in the World Series. Rematch of the 2017 World Series, which is infamous for the sign stealing scandal by the Astros, and why we make so many Astros and asterisks jokes. First of all, this will be one of the better World Series matchups that I've probably seen. These two teams are like top 10 in almost every statistical category for pitching and hitting. This would be probably the highest combined win total of two teams to meet in a World Series. I only went back to the 60s, to 1961, when the 162-game season was implemented. The only times it has come close to this were in 1970. I think the total was 210 total wins between the two teams. It was Baltimore and Cincinnati, I think, that met in the World Series. Then in 1998, it was 212, I believe, between the Yankees and the Padres, I think. And then this year, it would be, I think, 217. The Dodgers have won 111. Astros have won 106. So, yeah, it would be 217, which, since this 162-game season was implemented, that would be the largest combined win total between the two teams in a World Series. So, a lot of star power on both teams. Great pitching on both sides. Great lineups. This would be a really good series. And I hope that we get it. If they meet in the World Series, I have a very difficult time seeing the Dodgers let the Astros win. I'm sure 2017 is still in the back of their minds, for those that don't know. In 2017, the Astros beat the Dodgers in Game 7 at Dodger Field, partly because they were cheating. And I can't imagine that is going to go over well with the Dodgers. Playing them on a big stage like that again, I think that's going to be in the back of their minds. I think they're going to be extremely motivated. They're going to come out, as Matt LaFleur says, they'll come out with their piss hot. And I think just make it very competitive, kind of show their ass a little bit, be tough with them. Although physicality doesn't really matter in baseball, but just take it to them, punch them right in the mouth. I'd be very interested in watching that. I picked the Dodgers to win the World Series in the preseason after the season that they had. No way in hell I'm backing off. I got to go with the Dodgers. Way too much talent. They have three former MVPs in their lineup: Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, and Freddie Freeman. Clayton Kershaw on the mound. They did lose Walker Buehler, and then they haven't had Trevor Bauer all season and some parts of last season. Even without Buehler and Bauer, they're still in really good shape. Clayton Kershaw is really good. Tony Gonsolin's really good. Julio Urias is really good. They have a great bullpen. I think the Astros have the number one bullpen. Dodgers are number two. They have a good manager in Dave Roberts. Like, the Dodgers are just built to win. Dave Roberts said in the preseason that pretty much guaranteed they were going to win the World Series. They better. I'm picking them to win. I picked them to win in the preseason, and I don't see any reason to pick against them. So I'm going with the Dodgers. Steven is also going with the Dodgers. I don't want to say it feels like their year because they just won the World Series in 2020, but we've been adamant. I think we're in the middle of a Dodgers dynasty here, so I got the Dodgers. So that will conclude baseball picks or predictions. Let me go to weekly picks for the NFL. I'm actually going to probably wrap this up a lot quicker than I thought I would. So let's pull up football picks for this week. Allergies. Right now, the Broncos are playing the Colts. It is currently 9-6. Not entertaining at all. Oh, wait, it shows 6-9 on the screen. Nice. All right, so Thursday Night Football going on right now. Both James and I both took the Broncos. So heading to Sunday. Giants, Packers in London. I believe we both took the Packers. I worry, as a Packers fan, I worry about this game a little bit. The Packers have never been to London. I don't know how they handle the travel. That could be nothing, but those London games are tough. They're about like Thursday night games. You just never know what you're going to get. Right now, the line is Packers -8. I feel good about the Giants +8. I don't think the Giants will win the game, especially if Daniel Jones can't play. But I think it's going to be similar to the way the Packers won last week. They'll probably eke one out late, but give me the Packers to win. James took the Packers, but I think the Giants keep it within the spread. Steelers at Bills. Bills are -14. That's a huge number. I think the biggest spread I've ever seen was maybe 19 points in the NFL. So 14 is up there for me. But I'll be honest, I don't see how the Steelers make this a competitive game, although I don't like to doubt Mike Tomlin. Kenny Pickett getting his first start. I think that's trouble going against Buffalo's defensive front, one of the deepest and best in the league. Steelers' offensive line, not very good. Rookie quarterback making his first start. This feels like a disaster. If you got to have some balls to go Bills -14, but I think that is definitely within play because I'm not sure this game is going to be that close. Chargers at Browns. Chargers right now are -2.5. I'm sorry, James also took the Bills. Let me pull up those picks real quick on my laptop. I don't have his college picks, though, but I'll get those later. All right, so this is one where James and I differ. He took the Browns. I'm taking the Chargers. I don't know why. I can't get a read on either of these teams, so I'm just going to bank on best quarterback. The Chargers have that in Justin Herbert. Bears at Vikings. Vikings right now are -7.5. Bears have been terrible on offense all season. They have really struggled on the road offensively, so this feels like a game Minnesota should win. Both James and I are taking the Vikings. Lions at Patriots. This is another one where James and I differ. Lions at Patriots. Patriots are -3. James is going with the Lions. I don't blame him. I strongly consider the Lions as well, but I'm going to go with the Patriots. Not confident in that at all, but the Lions defense is really bad. They are bottom 5 in the league, I think, and total defense, scoring defense, and rushing defense. New England is down to its third-string quarterback in Bailey Zappi, potentially. Even if Mac Jones plays, I think they're going to lean on the run game a lot. I don't think the Lions are going to be able to get off the field. We saw it a little bit last week with New England at Lambeau. I think Bill Belichick is going to ugly this game up and just lean on the run game. I'd probably hammer the under in this game, honestly. And Foxborough, give me Belichick and the Patriots, although I'm not super confident in that. Seahawks at Saints. Saints right now are -5.5. I'm very surprised at the spread in this game because I don't think the Saints are any good. Seahawks are playing well. Geno Smith is playing well. I would argue right now the Seahawks have the better quarterback and head coach combination. Their defense is also playing pretty well. Tariq Woolen, rookie cornerback, playing really well for the Seattle. I don't trust New Orleans, although that's a very tough place to play, but I'm going to go with I'm not going to call this an upset, although it would be according to Vegas, but I'm going to keep rolling with Seattle. I like the way they've played the last couple weeks, or at least last week. This is another one where James and I differ. I think this is the last one, though, where James and I differ. He took the Saints. I'm taking the Seahawks. Then let me see. I don't think we differ after this. Nope. Okay. So Dolphins at Jets. Dolphins right now are -3.5. I went back and forth on this one. Tua's not playing. Road game for the Dolphins. I could see the Jets pulling one off, but the Dolphins have more time to prepare. And Teddy Bridgewater is a more than capable quarterback. I'm going to ride with the Dolphins here, and so is James. Falcons at Bucks. Bucks are minus 9.5. That's a big number. I know the Falcons aren't that good, but they've been really, really competitive so far this season. And Tampa Bay still has a lot of injuries on offense, particularly along the offensive line. 9.5 just seems like a really big number. I'm going to pick the Bucks to win this game, so is James. But I think the Falcons keep it within that 9.5. Titans at Commanders. This line has gone down from Titans minus 2.5 to Titans minus 1.5. I'm not sure what's up with that. But I don't trust the Commanders at all. They won in week 1 against Jacksonville somehow. But the last 3 weeks, they've looked terrible. They're averaging, I think, less than 15 points offensively. Carson Wentz has been sacked like 16 or 17 times in the last 3 weeks. Mike Vrabel has dug the Titans out of a 0-2 hole, so I'm going to keep riding with the Titans. They have the better coach and probably the quarterback, probably better quarterback. Houston at Jacksonville. I think Houston's going to get a win, but I can't. I've picked Houston enough times already this year, so I'm not going to do it again. Jags are the much better team. They have the better head coach. Jags are minus 7. They might cover that. I'm not convinced that they will. But yeah, I feel good about the Jags in that game. I don't think I said it last time, although I'm not sure I need to. But James has also taken the Titans and the Jags. And then 49ers at Panthers. Good defense travels well. 49ers might have the best defense in the league. Panthers are really bad offensively. Baker Mayfield has struggled. This very well might be Matt Rule's last game. I'm not sure he's going to be able to motivate the team, though. 49ers are probably going to win this game. Both James and I have the Niners. Win and cover feels lofty for a West Coast team going east, but I like the Niners, and I feel pretty confident in that. This one was another tough one, but after thinking about it, I'm going to take a upset here, sort of. Cowboys at Rams. Right now, the Rams are minus 5.5. Against my better judgment, I'm going to roll with the Cowboys, and so is James. Don't like the way the Rams have played the last few weeks. They are really struggling on offense. Their offensive line can't keep Stafford upright, and that's causing him to miss throws, throw interceptions, make a lot of mistakes. And Dallas's defense is pretty good. They've been able to get after the passer, which is huge, and I think that's going to be the key in this matchup and why I'm going with the Cowboys. Eagles at Cardinals. Both James and I are riding with the Eagles. I don't trust the Cardinals. I don't trust Kyler Murray. I don't trust Cliff Kingsbury. Philadelphia has a significant advantage in the trenches, and I think that's going to be key in this game. So give me the Eagles. Eagles might win and cover too. Eagles right now are minus 5. Raiders at the Chiefs, Monday Night Football. Chiefs right now are minus 7. Chiefs might win and cover. Both James and I are taking the Chiefs. Raiders got back in the win column last week. This doesn't feel like a back-to-back win sort of situation. Kansas City's hot. Aside from the Indianapolis game, which I don't know what happened there, Chiefs have been really good offensively. I'm not picking against Mahomes and Andy Reid right now, so give me the Chiefs, especially at home. And then game of the week, Sunday Night Football, Bengals at Ravens. Right now, Ravens are minus 3. I was surprised that James took the Cowboys, but I'm also surprised he agreed with me here. We're going with the Ravens. I thought he would go with Bengals, but I'm riding with the Ravens. Again, not super confident in that pick. Cincinnati's been better, but I don't think people realize that they haven't been that great either. They played, was it the Jets in week 3, then the Miami Dolphins without Tua for some of the game at least last week. Plus it was a Thursday night game at home. I'm not sure Cincinnati has quite figured things out yet. Lamar Jackson's playing like an MVP right now. I think they're going to be pissed after letting one slip against the Bills last week. Right now, I think I said Ravens are -3. I think the Ravens might win and cover. So yeah, that is our NFL picks. So let's go to college here. Like I said, I don't have James's picks for college. But a lot riding on this game this week because both James and I are even in our picks, which I mentioned the other day. Right now, Broncos just sacked Matt Ryan to force a 4th down. Still 9-6 somehow. We got to quit giving the Broncos. We got to quit giving the Broncos primetime games. They stink right now. All right, college. Let's start things off with number 8 Tennessee at number 25 LSU. Right now, Vols are -3. This was tough. I went back and forth, but I am going to stick with the I'm going to go with the Vols in this game. LSU has won 4 in a row since losing week 1, but their competition has been pretty bad. Let me pull it up real quick. LSU has played Southern, Mississippi State, New Mexico, and Auburn. 3 out of those 4 games were at home. The one road game, Auburn's really not that good. Sorry to my Auburn friends, but they would say the same thing. Auburn's not that good. The other 3 were at home. I don't know how good LSU really is right now. So Tennessee is coming off a bye week. Really good offense. Don't think LSU is going to be able to keep up. Number 17 TCU at number 19 Kansas. I'm shocked by this line. TCU was -6.5 on the road. I know TCU looked good last week, but I don't know if I don't really buy TCU right now. I think Oklahoma looked worse, and I think that score last week was more of an indictment on Oklahoma more than anything else. So I'm going to keep rolling with Kansas. I think that Lance Leipold has done a terrific job there. They have a really good quarterback in Jalen Daniels. I worry about their defense a little bit, but this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I'm going to ride with the home team there. I think Lance Leipold's a better coach than Sonny Dykes. They probably have the better quarterback in Jalen Daniels. I'm going to keep riding with the Jayhawks until they, lose, prove me wrong, choke, and teams figure them out. I don't know, but I'm going to keep riding with Kansas. I think they're legit, which is weird to say for football. Arkansas at number 23, Mississippi State. Mississippi State is -9.5. A little bit surprising with that line. I figured Arkansas would get a little bit more credit. But I'm riding with the Bulldogs. Mike Leach, great coach. Will Rogers, probably the most underrated quarterback in the SEC, which has quite a few really good quarterbacks. I think Mississippi State is just good enough defensively to be able to slow down Arkansas's rushing attack. And probably points are going to be scored in this game. And do I really trust KJ Jefferson to outduel Will Rogers? Not really. So that is 1, 2, 3 games. All right, Auburn at number 2, Georgia. Huge line on this game. Georgia is -29.5. Look, Auburn's not that great. This might be Brian Harson's last week as Auburn's head coach, but that's a big number, especially with the way Georgia has played the last 2 weeks. I think Auburn's getting Georgia at a bad time. They're not playing that well. Their coach is desperate. And Georgia's coming off a, struggle win, really 2 struggle wins against Kent State and Missouri. I think Georgia's going to be pissed off. I got the Bulldogs, but I do think the Tigers keep it within 29.5 points. Texas Tech at number 7, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State -9.5. I think the Cowboys are looking like the best team in the Big 12. I don't buy Texas Tech. Their offense has given the ball away a lot. I think their offense really isn't that good. They put up a lot of yards, but their yards per play really isn't that great. I think it's close to 5 yards per game. Texas Tech has also won 2 games in overtime, so how good are they really? They're 3-2, but seems like they're awfully close to being 1-4. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the Cowboys in this matchup. What's another game here? I'm at 5. Washington State at number 6 USC. USC minus 13. I think Washington State could make this a game. I think the Cougars are better than people think. They have a very underrated quarterback in Cameron Ward. If this game was in, is it Pullman? Yeah, Pullman, Washington, I'd consider the upset. But I think I'm going to go with USC, but I think that's going to be a tougher matchup than people think. What is another matchup that I did? No, I didn't get them all. Hang on, I got to go to FBS. Actually, let me just go to my blog. I should have had that pulled up instead. Sorry, guys. I posted this on Wednesday because I wanted to do baseball for Friday. Another punt in this game. Colts return it to about the 35 or 40. Still 9-6. Quite boring. Is it even the fourth quarter yet? It's got to be near the fourth quarter. All right, I did that one. Did that game. Red River Shootout. I'm referring to it as the Red River Shootout until further notice. Texas, Oklahoma, Dallas. I originally was going to take Oklahoma in this game just because I don't trust Texas. But the line of this game is incredible. And once I saw it, the more the gears started turning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think Vegas might be right. Texas right now is -7. And like I said, Vegas might be right there. Oklahoma is really bad defensively right now. I'm shocked, honestly. They can't stop the run. I think they give up close to 300 yards per game on the ground. That does not bode well against Texas because they got Bijan Robinson, maybe the best running back in the country. Even if Quinn Ewers doesn't play, Hudson Card is a bit of a scrambler too, so they might just do a read option the whole game, and I'm not sure Oklahoma's going to be able to stop it, so I'm going with Texas. The other unranked matchup I had was Purdue at Maryland. Maryland -3. Don't trust Maryland. Don't trust Mike Loxley. Don't trust the Terps, although I do like their passing attack. Purdue showed me a lot last week. They went on the road and beat Minnesota, a team that I thought was emerging as the favorite in the Big Ten West. And they went into Minneapolis and won by 2 scores. I'm back on the Purdue bandwagon. I don't think my friend Jerem will like that very much. He's a Boilermaker. But I'm hopping back on the Purdue bandwagon. I like Jeff Brom as a head coach. Aiden O'Connell is a good quarterback. Give me the Boilermakers. So that is almost – okay, so I'm caught up here. All right, other matchup. Number 20, Kansas State at Iowa State in Ames. Ames is always a tough place to play. I don't trust the Cyclones' offense. They give the ball away a lot. I think they average 2 giveaways per game, and they average 4.7 yards per play. Don't think that's going to get it done this week. Kansas State's really good in the trenches. They have a good defense. Adrian Martinez is running. I think he's still running from the way he's played the last couple of weeks. And then also Deuce Vaughn's really good. So I'm going to keep riding with Kansas State. I think Kansas State's legit. Texas A&M at number 1 Alabama. This doesn't feel like a good matchup for A&M. They're really struggling on offense. They can't score. They don't score very many points. They average 19.5 points per game and 5.2 yards per play. I highly doubt that's going to get it done against Alabama. Bama's really good. They got talent out the wazoo. And I think Bama's going to have this game circled after A&M beat them last year. So give me the Crimson Tide. Florida State at number 19, NC State. This was another one I kind of went back and forth on. I'm not sure either team is really that good. But with the game in Raleigh, I'm going to pick NC State. I think NC State has a really good defense. If last week's game against Clemson was in Raleigh, I think NC State might have won that game. They were at least competitive against Clemson. Even though I did pick them to win and they didn't do it, but they still showed something. NC State, good defense. They run the ball well. I think Florida State's really improved. How much improved are they? If they're really that improved in Norvell, they'll find a way to win this game. Losing to Wake Forest last week and only scoring 21 points in the process, not a sign that you really have improved all that much. Not saying that they haven't improved. They have improved a lot. But that's just not a good sign for me. I think they'll play better this week, but I'm still going to ride with NC State to win. Game of the week. Number 11, Utah at number 18, UCLA. Utah right now is -4.5. Utah. UCLA shocked me last week. I picked Washington to win in Pasadena, and UCLA beat them in a shootout. Don't see that happening this week. Utah is a much better team in the trenches, and I just don't really buy the Bruins. I think they benefited from a first-year head coach going on the road and conference play last week, which is probably you should win that game, I would argue. I don't know if the Bruins defense is all that good. I think their numbers are a little inflated because their first 4 games of the season, they didn't really play a team with a pulse. So I think Utah's a much better team. They have the better head coach. Give me the Utes. So yeah, that will do it for this week. I am right at around 45 minutes. Much quicker than what I thought. I finished much quicker than what I thought I would. So, yeah, we talked some baseball. I got my picks in. This game is still going on. 7.5 minutes left. The score is still 9-6. God, we have got to get the Broncos off primetime football. Although I will say, it gives me some joy to watch the Broncos, a team that I don't hate, but it gives me some joy to watch them struggle. As a Packers fan, the Broncos fans would not shut up for the last, year and a half, roughly, a little over a year. Once the whole Rodgers drama started with the Packers front office, the Broncos fans started chirping that, oh, he's going to come to Denver. It's going to be like when Peyton Manning was here. We have a much better roster, which I don't know what they're smoking out there in Denver. No, you don't. You don't have a better roster than the Packers, even right now without Devontae Adams. But it's all he did was chirp about how Rodgers coming to the Broncos. Rodgers is coming to the Broncos. And, so Rodgers ends up staying in Green Bay. Then they get Russell Wilson. They're like, oh, whatever, we're still fine. And even I thought they were fine. But clearly it's not all that great. Nathaniel Hackett doesn't really look like he knows what he's doing. It's still early, though. Russell Wilson has really struggled in this offense. Their weapons aren't turning out to be quite as good as what everyone thought, which I said was the case. So it gives me a little bit of joy to watch the Broncos struggle a little bit. Now they're showing, oh gosh, next Thursday night game is Washington and Chicago. My goodness. Well, that's definitely as Big Cat would say, probably a loser leaves town. Whoever loses that game is probably going to be in a great position to get the number 1 overall pick. That's going to be bad. 2 back-to-back horrible Thursday night games in a row. What else can I talk about? I feel like I'm in the zone right now. What else to talk about? I don't really have anything. I could keep going, but I don't really have anything. Let's see what Russell Wilson does here. Under center. All right. Ooh, good run. Good run. All right. I don't know what else to say. I thought I would have something come up, a topic I could talk about. I could keep talking about Brady. Again, I hate that the entire world knows his business. You're going to have that with, Brady being who he is and Giselle being who she is. We don't know the story, obviously, but I get the sense that this has been boiling all year. I mean, ever since he unretired. And I understand. Like I said earlier this week, I understand both sides. He wants to keep playing. She probably is sick and tired of being a single mom half the year. We've talked about it, and he has said, screw her, and he said all these different things that I'm not sure deep down he really means. He's just a Brady homer and wants to see him keep playing. I don't blame him for that. But he has said a lot of things. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you can't understand why she would want him to hang it up. So, like I said, I can understand both sides. I just loathe that the entire world knows what's going on in their marriage. That is something that should be private and only the family knows about. And instead, everybody knows about it. And we don't even know if it's true. Granted, a lot of mainstream markets have picked up. I think I saw CNN ran with it. I know that, was it the New York Post ran with it originally and had the first report. I just hate it. And then I see all, people tweeting at Brady and, hitting on him. I think, I'm not going to talk about it. My mom might watch this podcast, but I'm not going to talk about it. But saw a very nefarious tweet from a woman who shows her body quite a bit. Pretty much hitting on Tom Brady. And I mean, can we wait until the ink is finalized first? If they're even getting divorced. I hate it. I roughly know the experience, what this is, having been very close to a couple who got divorced recently. But yeah, just don't like it. Don't like it for the kids. It's hate it for the kids. And then, I will say this. Did he actually change his Twitter bio? I actually haven't looked. I've seen the screen grab, though, that he did change his Twitter bio. Tom Brady did. No, I thought he got rid of his. No, it still says. So maybe he did change it and changed it back. But his Twitter bio for the longest time said family and football. I saw a screen grab out there that said, or that showed that he had changed it to just football. Maybe that happened. I honestly didn't see it. I would imagine, though, it was probably true. I'm sure his PR team got a hold of that and said, hey, dude, you got to change that back. And he did change it back to family and football, so good for him. But I was going to say, that's kind of petty. Brady doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Like, come on, dude. It's like your family isn't just your wife. It's also your kids, and you're deleting that from your Twitter profile to just say football. Again, I don't know for certain if it did happen, but I would imagine it probably did. I know James saw it on social media, so I would imagine the screen grab is real. But if he did do that, I'm like, that's ice cold, man. You're giving up your family for football. Again, family is not just your wife; it's your kids too. So I didn't think that was I didn't think that was a good look at all. So anyway, I'm going on an hour here. It's 10 o'clock. I think I'm going to wrap up. We got a commercial going on right now. Next week, again, I'm going to try to do 2 podcasts again. I like this structure. Maybe 3. I might get Steven on. Depends on how it looks for him. He's in the middle of moving, and he's got a wife and kids, so he's busy. Maybe worst case scenario, I have him on to preview the World Series in a couple weeks. So, yeah, I'll leave you all at that. Y'all have a good weekend.